All right, let's dive into a fascinating little puzzle from an art history text. It's supposed to be all about a major shift in 19th century German art, but the source material itself throws us a real curveball, a very confusing contradiction.
So right at the top, our source is crystal clear. This chapter is about realism. You know, the artistic movement all about showing life as it really was, with no sugarcoating, no glamour. Seems pretty straightforward, right? But then, you look at the bottom of every page and you see this, German Romanticism. Now wait a minute, that's a totally different movement, one that's all about big emotions, idealized nature, and grand drama. So what's going on here? Is it a mistake, a typo, or is something deeper at play?
Yeah, this confusing label is the heart of our mystery. Is this art romantic, like the pages say, or is it realist, like the chapter title insists?
The only way we're going to get to the bottom of this is to become art detectives. We're going to treat the paintings as our clues and the artists as our key witnesses to figure out exactly where the truth is.
So let's start with our first person of interest, an artist named Hans Thoma. His work is where those lines between the two styles start to get really blurry.
Here he is. Thoma was painting right in the middle of this period of transition, and you can really see that struggle in his art. Let's check out a couple of his pieces.
Okay, first up, take a look at Kinderreigen, which means children's round dance. This feels very, very romantic. It's this sweet, idealized scene of barefoot kids playing in a meadow. It's nostalgic, it's emotional, it checks all the boxes for romanticism.
But then, Thoma also paints this, Taunus landscape. Now this isn't some mythical, imagined valley. No way. It's a real, specific place, and he's painting it with an eye for what's actually there. It's grounded in reality. So with Thoma, our first witness, the evidence is kind of mixed. He's got one foot in the old world of romanticism and one stepping into something new.
Let's move on to our next artist and see where the trail leads. Our second witness, Wilhelm Liebel, gives us much stronger evidence that points away from romanticism and squarely towards something else.
This is Liebel. He was a central figure in this new movement. He even famously said he wanted to paint people just as they are. No fluff, no added drama.
And this piece? It's the perfect illustration of his philosophy. It's called The Village Politicians. These aren't heroes or gods, they're just ordinary men, probably farmers, gathered together to talk about the local news. I mean, look at their weathered faces, their simple clothes, the worn-out wooden bench. This is everyday life, captured with incredible honesty.
His work is completely unvarnished. It's raw and it's direct. And just look at the detail here in Three Women in Church. Liebel isn't just painting a religious scene. He's studying the character of these women. You see it in their wrinkled hands, the specific texture of the fabric of their dresses, and their quiet, individual expressions of faith. This is pure, unadulterated realism. The evidence is getting stronger.
Okay, this brings us to our final and most influential witness, Max Liebermann. If Liebel opened the door to realism, Liebermann basically blew it off its hinges, turning his attention to the modern world of labor.
Liebermann was incredibly prolific, and he really is the one who cemented this shift in German art. He didn't just paint what was real. He started painting subjects that, before him, were considered completely unworthy of art.
For example, he showed the harsh, unglamorous reality of women working in the goose pluckers. This was not a subject for a grand, beautiful painting. It was dark, it was messy, and it was real.
He found this incredible sense of dignity in the simple, focused labor of a cobbler's workshop. And he captured the rhythmic, almost mechanical, communal effort of factory work in flax scutching and yarn. What he was doing was showing the world that the lives of working people were just as important, just as compelling a subject as any king or classical myth.
And if you put his work in a broader context, the picture becomes even clearer. On the left, you've got Liebermann's Potato Harvest, and on the right, the very famous French realist painting, The Gleaners by Jean-François Millet. The connection is it's undeniable. Liebermann was absolutely part of a huge Europe-wide movement to depict the rural poor and working class with honesty and dignity.
So after looking at the evidence from Thoma, Liebel, and especially Liebermann, I think the verdict is in. Despite that confusing label in our source, the art itself tells a very, very clear story.
Let's just break it down to be crystal clear. Romanticism, that's all about sublime nature, high emotion, idealized scenes.
That is not what we're seeing here. What we see in these paintings is realism, a commitment to showing the everyday, the ordinary, and the unvarnished truth of modern life.
So our artists weren't painting romantic fantasies, no. They were focused on real people in real situations. They showed life as it was, without trying to make it prettier. And in doing that, they found a totally new kind of beauty and dignity in the ordinary world. Turns out, the chapter title was right all along.
But you might be asking, why is this distinction so important? Who cares? Well, it matters a lot, because this shift from romanticism to realism wasn't just about changing how you paint a tree. It was a radical, almost democratic revolution in what art was even for. It was the declaration that the lives of common people were just as meaningful and just as worthy of a masterpiece as the lives of the rich and powerful.
In the end, this whole movement leaves us with a powerful question, one that really changed art forever. What if the dignity you find in the hard, honest work of a goose plucker is just as profound, just as moving, and just as worthy of our attention as that of any king on a throne?